وليدي طاب نومه وعد وليدي ما هنا بننام.
Serial killer Barber, who trapped his clients in a trap, dismembered them and gave them to his lover to make pies. Did you know that the movie Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, starring Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter, and directed by Tim Burton, is actually based on a true story, and that this couple living in the late 1700s killed approximately 160 people and made meat pies out of some of them? Here we go. Are you ready? Sweeney Todd was born in 1748 in the squalid London of 18th century England. When he was 12 years old, his alcoholic parents disappeared. The Todd family lived a miserable life, living in poverty like many workers in London at the time. When Sweeney Todd was only 12 years old, his parents suddenly disappeared. The couple, who were known to be alcoholics, were presumed dead somewhere, and Sweeney Todd, left alone, took a job with a craftsman who made knives and razors. He entered Newgate Prison at the age of 14 on suspicion of theft, and this is exactly where his story began. Sweeney Todd, who was imprisoned with murderers and thieves despite being a child, became the apprentice of Elmer Plummer, the prison barber. He learned anatomy as well as barbering, as barbers also performed some surgical procedures in the England of the period. He also mastered stealing money from customers' pockets. After his release from prison, where he stayed for 5 years, he worked as a traveling barber in London, saved money, and opened a shop in Fleet Street, where well-established British newspapers are now located. He opened a barbershop next to St. Dunstan's Church at 186 Fleet Street, which contains forgotten underground tunnels and tombs beneath which parishioners are buried. Sweeney Todd drilled a hole through the floor of the shop into the passageways and caves where the underground tunnels are located, creating a trap door in the floor that can rotate 360 degrees. He mounted a barber's chair on either side of the trap door and turned his customer upside down, causing his head to crash to the basement floor. When the door completed its rotation, the empty barber chair returned to its place and all was well. As the trapdoor rotated, he went down to check whether the customer was dead or not, and if not, he gave him the final blow with his razor. Sweeney Todd hid the corpses next to the bodies under the church and took the valuables, of course. He came out of prison, where he learned theft, barbering, and anatomy as a serial killer. Meanwhile, he met Marjorie Lovett, who was older than him, and they soon became partners in crime. Marjorie Lovett used the people Sweeney Todd killed in the meat pies she baked. Using his surgical skills, Sweeney Todd dismembered the corpses and gave the meat to his lover to use in the pies. Marjorie Lovett, who is said to have made the most delicious meat pies in London in her 2-story shop, was feeding her skillfully processed meat to almost the entire public, until there was a flood under St. Dunstan's Church. Disturbing odors rose from the cellar, where the caves and passageways were located. The source was tried to be found, and it was realized that the smell in the dark cellars was caused by corpses. The disturbing odor, amplified by the flood, was noticed by the priests, and soon the police force began to investigate. The sudden disappearance of a man who argued with Sweeney Todd, the disappearance of those who entered the barber shop, and the barber and his lover suddenly living in luxury sparked the fuse. So Richard began to investigate, put the pieces together, and put the shop under surveillance. After finding corpses piled up in the cellar, half-stripped bodies, decomposing parts, the police, posing as customers, entered the shop and found jewelry and clothes of one of the victims. Enough evidence had been found. While Sweeney Todd was arrested without incident, people wanted to lynch Marjorie Lovett after learning that she had eaten pies made from the corpses of murdered people. Realizing that execution was inevitable, Marjorie Lovett committed suicide after confessing everything. The hard evidence at the trial, which took place in the early 1800s, revealed that approximately 160 people had been murdered. Doctor-identified bones, eyewitness testimony, missing persons and valuables found in Sweeney Todd's house revealed that approximately 160 people had been brutally murdered. Sweeney Todd was executed in 1802, even though he claimed that he was not responsible for the disappearances, that the evidence did not make him guilty, and that the smell of the church was none of his business. Please don't forget to subscribe for the continuation of the series. Thank you for your interest.